Sobrante Municipal Advisory Council. This is an advisory council which is appointed by the Contra Costa Board of Supervisors. And its goal is to advise basically Supervisor Joya, District 1, on matters relating to the unincorporated area of El Sobrante. And so let's start off with a roll call.
Tom Lang, George Cleveland.
I'm here.
Tom Owens. Looks like you're
Here.
Dr. Melinda McLean. Jim Herman, I believe he's also out as well. Randy Lloyd.
Here.
Nikki Norris.
Here.
Terry Edlinger. And Jed Hart.
So Jim Herman has an.
Yeah, he let me know he won't be attending today, yeah.
All right, can we have the treasurer's report?
Yep, we're sitting at a nice round $3,000.
All right, and
It restarted in July, but I was waiting to get confirmation from the CA's office.
so maybe before we do the approving of minutes, someone can lead us in the pledge. Anybody?
You know, just I went to a San Pablo City Council meeting recently. And they didn't do the activity.
I personally would like to do it.
Okay. But
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so have folks had a chance to look at the minutes from August? Any comments?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the August 13, 2025 meeting minutes with any possible corrections.
Second.
All right.
Take a roll call on this.
Did anybody find anything to
If you found anything to object to, please send any revisions or comments to Ronnie. And so take a just quick roll call to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
A roll call to approve it?
we just do that?
Okay,
All in favor of approving the minutes with any consent,
All right.
please say aye or raise your hand.
okay,
Aye, okay.
All
I
right.
get a thumbs up from Mr. Owens online, so here we go.
all right, so that's taken care of, and let's go to our regularly scheduled presentations. I'd like to suggest that maybe Lieutenant Fitzgerald go first because he, is always at risk of being called away to deal with something.
Yeah, like my neighbor down the street. Maybe code enforcement again.
Good evening, my name is Brian Fitzgerald, Lieutenant with the Sheriff's Office. Little summary from August, there was a total of 676 calls for service, which generated 66 reports. There was a stolen vehicle. There's a kidnapping actually that was like an ongoing domestic violence situation that just kind of a woman ended up jumping out of a car. Over on Hilltop and Lockville. So it wasn't necessarily like it started here, or started somewhere else, it just kind of ended here. There was a assault with a deadly weapon, which again, that was another domestic violence situation where subject was hit in the head with a mallet. There was two petty thefts, two thefts, 3 grand thefts, and 1 petty theft.
if I take a look, if anything can be done to make things not.
Or the vendors as like the food cart. So there are some vendors that are out there and they have applied for permits through appropriate agencies. There are some We've been out there, I want to say at least twice, to deal with some of the unregistered vendors. We've been out there with county health and code enforcement. And I think the unlicensed vendors have got the appointment moving on, so that is a code enforcement issue regarding them.
So is that the only issue? There was no other violations of the, but he didn't ask permit anything. Set up in the
Correct.
business room.
So some people from county health, might have been environmental health, I can't remember which one. County health, they contacted us, they had been having some issues with one of the vendors. That he wasn't permitted or licensed, and we went out there to kind of stand by while they addressed the issues with him, because he had been cited and had a decent amount of fines that had accumulated, but he was starting to become a little bit aggressive with the county health folks. So we stood by, and that was, say, 2 months ago. And I think since then, we haven't had anything since.
When was this, Ted? Like JP Liquor, they set up at least once a week, and it causes a big lines and stuff because they're getting their food is cheap and good. I don't know if they're even.
They took on some of
The
the.
tacos are amazing. They're incredible. Al Pastor,
Delicious.
they're really good.
Yeah, so, yeah, I've never eaten their food, but it's the code enforcement that I was concerned about, so he addressed that.
So there are issues, I think, with food temperature and other safety issues.
Some, I think they knew is that there were some that were permitted and some that.
I saw one last week.
Any other questions for Lieutenant Fitzgerald? Just the whole room, it's okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the thefts you said, are they comings or are those?
There was a grand theft, which just makes the value, it breaks the $900 mark. Petty thefts, so the grand thefts, there was 3 of them, they're spread out throughout the month, 31, 3rd, the 6th, and the 17th. The petty theft was on the 9th, various locations.
But those are, no burglaries, breaking and entries.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm late. So what's the difference between petty and grand theft? What's the threshold?
So grand theft would be making a felony, so $900.
Over $900. So my $677 wood chipper that was stolen the day of the Sherwood Forest yard sale would not be a felony. Just annoying. Okay, got it.
I was curious, there were like at least 5 chiefs, maybe 10 sheriffs, and not just sheriff police that got deployed last weekend at like 9 or 10. I live on San Pablo Dam Road, so it was pretty intense. Do you know anything about that? I looked it up on neighborhood, it might have been a fire, a house fire, but I didn't see anything about it, like it was explicit and certain.
Do you know which day?
It was a weekend night, thankfully, I mean, so I didn't have to work the next day, but I think it was either Friday or Saturday, maybe Saturday night. It was a house fire.
That's what I said.
It was.
On Heidi Court,
But it was it
At night.
started in the house.
it did, and it was
not
contained in the
outside.
house.
Okay, and then it didn't spread. And then the rain came and I got really grateful.
She got a question.
Okay. Any further questions for Lieutenant Fitzgerald?
Anybody on the Zoom, any questions for the lieutenant? Okay, that's a no.
Okay. So, thank you for saying. So, Supervisor Joya.
Good evening. Good to see you all. I thought I have a few items under the county presentation that will also address information that you're going to use. I know later on you have a discussion about immigration issues and a discussion about SOS and homelessness. So I will in my county presentation talk about a few things related to that. I know you're going to be taking up the issue of immigration immigrant protection. I will say in Contra Costa, we have several programs. We actually, pretty much more than any other jurisdiction in the county, actually invest money in supporting immigrants. We fund a substantial program called Stand Together Contra Costa through our public defender's office, where we provide immigration defense services to people at risk of deportation. That is more funding than all 19 cities combined spend on issues like that. So just to note, we've invested in this for many years, and we increased our funding this year and staffing because of the greater demand for the services, as you can imagine. We also reviewed a number of policies affecting some of our programs. We run preschool Head Start, and the federal government's looking at changing policies to prevent those who are undocumented children from being enrolled in Head Start. Currently, our Head Start students include U.S. citizens and immigrants, and we do not ask in the application process whether those immigrants are documented or not, because oftentimes there's a mix in families where the child may be documented, but maybe not the parent. And the federal government has come out with some proposed regulations to basically cut off undocumented children. Those haven't taken effect, but we are concerned because those families rely on this important preschool in order to go to work and support their families. There's also potential cutbacks in rental assistance for housing authority to actually that would include to even to documented immigrants. So we're seeing those types of proposals. And by the way, just on the issue of federal cuts, Congressman Garamendi, myself, and Supervisor Scales Preston did a press conference at our county hospital a couple of weeks ago to highlight the impacts of the federal cuts on healthcare and social services. We run health and social services in the county, which includes about 250,000 people in this county on Medi-Cal. Nearly 200,000 of them get their health care directly through the county physicians, nurses, our hospital, our 11 clinics. We estimate that potentially 70,000 people could get cut off of health care as a result of the federal cuts. What does that mean for those individuals? It means they would let their conditions get worse and show up at an emergency room. So it means more crowded emergency rooms, which is a more expensive way to provide medical treatment, as you know. It means people get sicker because they're delaying getting medical care. And that leads to more negative medical outcomes. And for those who have health care, it could potentially still mean longer, but with these cuts, longer wait for appointment times, which also means people's conditions get worse and delays people from getting health care. There's also cuts to our food nutrition programs, what used to be called food stamps. And so that potentially means more individuals will be without food assistance, and that's unhealthy. We highlighted a lot of these impacts. In addition, the sheriff gave their annual report on contacts with ICE. And under California law, they are allowed to report certain more serious felonies, those who've committed more serious felonies. There was a lot of discussion at the board whether the line is drawn in the right place. Some of us believe that some of the cooperation occurs for lower level offenses. I don't think there was disagreement that people who commit serious felonies, and those are generally not individuals who are released, just to be clear. So there was a lot of discussion around that issue. The sheriff, who's independently elected, has control over how to implement that state law and what level of contact to have. The other discussion we had for our departments like health and social services, where we do control the policies, we have policies of not cooperating with ICE and not letting them in. However, we have heard reports of ICE going into other hospitals. The reality on the ground is, our employees can be trained. There's a lot of pressure on them. How do they, if they tell ICE no, and what happens if they just say we want to enter? There's, in one of the discussions we had, is that there is no practical way that an unarmed employee could prevent if ICE tried to force their way in, although there's policies, and the board is going to be reviewing our policies at one of our board committees to look at making sure that they're strong enough and that there's training in place to assist employees in implementing the policy. So to the extent, in order to prevent ICE from having illegal access, let's say into a hospital or clinic. That same committee is going to look at the issue with regard to the sheriff's department and to make recommendations to the sheriff with regard to whether or not there are lower level crimes, those immigrants who have lower level crimes, whether they are cooperating with, whether the sheriff is cooperating with ICE on those. So that's going to get discussed and come to the board, that issue. Switching over to homeless, the county has been investing a fair amount in expanding the shelter beds, trying to work to move people from encampments into housing and actually building the housing. The point in time count showed that homelessness in Contra Costa decreased by about 26%. Point in time counts aren't 100% accurate, but the trend is what's important. A decrease in West County year over year of about 41%. That included Richmond. Central County down 33%. East County was down 41%. And some other areas of, actually, let me look. Yeah, so 41% in West County, and about 40 in East. So there was overall a decrease, which is good news. What strategies are we following? We have invested more money into emergency rental assistance. We remodeled our shelter beds to create more private rooms instead of congregate care or dorm style. We just completed a 55 unit, well, a year ago, but it's open 55 units of permanent supportive housing in San Pablo. And I'll get to this, the grant that we received from the state, about $5.5 million to clear the Windy Flats encampment in San Pablo on the Dam Road. With some of that money, we are actually building 30 modular units for 45 residents, 14. So we will move 45 residents out of those encampments specifically into for 45 into modular units that we are now going to be installing next to our Brookside shelter. It's 15 for singles, 15 for couples, so 30 and 15 is 45. And we're using some of the encampment money for that. There is, with the money that we've received, we're using, of that $5.5 million, $2 million is being used to build these 30 shelters, 30 units, I should say, and we're using funding to work with and provide services to move individuals into the housing. We are also got funding to build a 45-bed mental health rehabilitation center in North Richmond, and which we're starting to build. These are it's a locked facility for people with mental health issues. So it's residential, and we got funding to do something similar out in Antioch. So we've been investing both our county dollars and state dollars and some federal dollars into these. And I think all of these combined help us in getting to the numbers. I know you're going to be hearing from SOS, which I know is a great partner. I think I will tell you what I did work with County Homeless about. I know the issues with SOS. So SOS may have contracts with Richmond's for services. I am not familiar with those contracts, and those are for services I know that they perform in the city of Richmond. With regard to, I'll pull up. Let me pull up the information I have for. Hold on here. I pull up my notes. So with regard to the work at the Windy Flats encampment, SOS I know has been looking at wanting to do services there. And I did look into this again with homeless services, and here's what they have told us. That the county has been working with a number of providers and residents during an RFP process to specifically understand what needs the homeless residents had, and that SOS was seeking funding specifically to support workforce development work and services that are already being performed by the health department. So what the health department has told me is that the state grant cannot fund workforce development services. So to the extent that SOS wants to perform workforce development services, that money can't be funded by those projects can't be funded by the 5.5 million. And what the health department tells me is that the other services that SOS, which they've done a good job doing a number of services around Richmond, that the county is already offering those services, and doesn't need SOS to do those services, and is moving those individuals into we'll move these individuals into the housing we are building with $2 million. And while the workforce development services would be additional services, that this state funding can't be used for that. If the health department determines that they need to do any further work, they have to do an RFP. They can't sole source it under the county's purchasing guidelines. They would look at any additional services that could be funded using the state grant, and then issue an RFP that SOS or others could respond to. In the meantime, the health department and its partners are directly providing services to those residents to move them into housing. If we all could identify other funding to fund workforce development, I think we would support that, but we don't have any specific funding to fund the workforce development piece. Other issues, I've been giving updates to a number of to the city councils and neighborhood groups around West County, and I'll just give you briefly about the Air District's new policy to spend fines and penalties in the community where the fines were levied. And so we currently have around $36 million in health settlement money and fines and penalties from Chevron that will be allocated to West County. The Air District is working up guidelines about that after taking a lot of input. The guidelines will be out in another month or two, and then we will look for public comment on those guidelines and then adopt the final guidelines in December, and open up some type of application process in January for community cities to apply for funding that would improve people's health, address air quality issues in West County, and El Sobrante is within that area. So that's the short version of the presentation. 36 million to eventually be allocated, and draft guidelines will be out in about a month or two. We can look forward to distribute those to you and get your comments. and then we would look at any final adoption of those in December. So that's I think that's the best I can provide. And I'll just stop and take questions.
George, go ahead.
So any news about anything happening with a potential rebate from Republic Services for their lack of garbage collection?
Yeah, so the county, the county and each of the cities have been meeting with Republic, and we have all collectively asked for rate relief that would, for the period of time that people did not get garbage service. Republic said that they are taking that all under consideration. We've written a couple of legal letters, and my most recent meeting with them was last week. And I think they are working with Richmond, San Pablo, Pinole, Hercules, the county, and Rodeo and Crockett. And I think we will hear something in the next week or two about what they plan to do. And they said they were heading towards some type of rate relief. We will see how much, and it's probably for a 2-week period. So we have had discussions. We've made that request. So we will see what announcement they make in the next week or two.
Thank you, John.
So I just wanted to clarify something about the 36 million from the Chevron settlement.
Yeah.
Is that going to be allocated specifically for air quality issues? Or
so there's two amounts. There's a $20 million health settlement that has to be used specifically to address air quality, like reducing particulate matter. So that one is more narrowly focused, but there will be guidelines out. So let's look at those guidelines when they're out. The other 16 million are fines and penalties money that can be a little more broadly used. They don't have to be directly for reduction of pollutants. And again, guidelines are being issued, and I'm glad to pass those along once they're out in, let's say, October. So that's how the 36 million breaks out.
so that 16 million, the guidelines that you envision releasing would have sort of specifications if people were to apply for access to those
Well,
funds.
and it's less people, but projects and organizations, right?
Right.
Like a nonprofit, a city, things like that. That there will be guidelines for the 20 million. They just will be slightly different because those were under the terms of a settlement agreement with Chevron where they agreed to comply with our new rule. And so those are going to be more health-based. The 16 million could be broader. Some people have suggested, can we use that to plant trees? That may be possible. I think those are the kind of thing, the guidelines will be out. I'm looking forward to seeing those guidelines when they're out as well.
Workforce development.
Yeah,
SOS.
say for, yeah.
How about workforce development? Yeah, exactly.
Maybe.
Yeah, where did you say the 30 units are gonna be
We're
located?
building on property we own in North Richmond next to the Brookside Shelter. We have the funding, we have the land, and we're going to go forward with it. So, let me just say, we clearly are prioritizing building transitional and permanent housing for people who are homeless. I mean, that is the gold standard, getting people into a roof over their head. And so these units will be transitional. The 56 units we built in San Pablo that are permanent supportive housing are permanent, no deadline. The units we're building, the modular, the 30, which are for 45 residents. Remember, because 15 are for couples, 15 are for singles. So we're building housing for 45 residents, specifically in North Richmond, using 2 million of the 5.7 that we're getting from the state.
Go ahead, Terry, please.
My question is, what's the timeline, the projected timeline of from now until it's up and ready to be used?
Well, I think we're moving forward to project manage and prepare the site and start building the modular. I don't know. I know the date. It says here. Let me see. it looks like the funds have to be obligated, they have to be spent by June of 2027. They have to be obligated by June of 2026. So I think we are all moving forward in that time frame. And
Add a year for
in the
PG&E.
in the meantime, what? Pardon?
Add a year for PG&E.
Well, you know, it's interesting. We had a meeting with PG&E to specifically talk generally about the delay that it takes to get power. And we had a high-level meeting with PG&E and with Senator Jesse Aragon's office about a week ago to exactly talk about that issue for many projects. Yeah, because that has been an issue. What?
John,
Yep.
one of the things, and I don't know if you all talked about this, but it's not just the delays, it's the fact that you can't get a date. It's very, very difficult to plan a business when you have no
Yeah.
idea when they'll turn
Yeah.
the power on. When they give
I
you
know.
something.
Yeah, that is the problem. We
months.
raised that, yes.
Yeah, okay, got it.
One of
Thank
the
you.
things they said, and I don't know, and the senator's office said, is that there are sometimes delays caused by jurisdictions, I don't know which ones, that may require certain types of undergrounding or restrict poles. So one of the things we're going to look into, are there also practices of cities or the county that contribute to the delay by putting extra requirements on PG&E to expand infrastructure? So we talked not just about PG&E delays, but we talked about delays by local government to expand or give permits to expand the infrastructure that PG&E needs.
Thanks, John.
So I just wanted to follow up regarding the sheriff's office and the policy for reporting to ICE. So you mentioned that they do report like serious felonies. But I would say that the question of minor crimes is really important, and also something that's extremely important is people who are reporting being victims. And if someone reports being victims of a crime, and then as a result of that, the county sheriffs transmit that information to ICE, I mean, they could have
They don't do that. They were pretty clear they don't do that. Here's what I think the issue is. There are some crimes that are called wobblers, where they could be a felony or misdemeanor, and they may get charged as a misdemeanor instead of a felony. And some of those have been reported, like potentially, let's say, um, some type of property damage, vandalism, that could be graffiti, that could be charged a felony or misdemeanor. There were some of those that were in which the individual had committed one of those crimes and then was reported to ICE upon release. I think there was discussion. My position and some others was that, to me, would not rise to the level of a serious felony that should be reported. The sheriff ultimately has the discretion under state law. So the issue, that's why a committee of our board is going to talk about this further. We do have the ability to control the policies of health and social services, and that there's not an issue. The issue is more, how do we implement and enforce our policies in ways that work for our employees? Yeah.
Questions from the audience? This is gonna be a weird question that Celeste asking, but is there a projected date when they're gonna have that encampment closed?
When they're going to have what closed?
When they're gonna disband that encampment over there?
I can get, I didn't get that immediate. They're working now. I mean, obviously, getting people into existing housing is important. The units aren't going to get built for a while. So to the extent if people need to move, if the only unit is available are the capacity of 45 that we're building, it could take longer. So, but I imagine this is going to happen at least over the next year, and I can attempt to get a timeline from the health department on that.
Just another question, John. Regarding the federal cutbacks to various county functions like rental assistance, health, etc. What discussions have there been about prioritizing backfilling some of the cuts?
Yeah. Well, we will be evaluating that. We don't have ongoing revenue to backfill. We have significant reserves, which would be one time. So I think once we specifically start facing some of those, that we will discuss whether we want to use any of those one-time reserves to backfill some of those, knowing that they are one time. So the board has talked about that, but I remember some of these cutbacks are going to happen after the midterm elections because the Republicans knew that they would be unpopular. And so some of them are phased in. Some start next year, some start in 2027, which is also why, we're trying to advocate which ones do we have a chance to turn around, before they get implemented. So that has happened as well. Oh, I failed to mention, and Ronnie, you could provide the dates. The Board of Supervisors has about $5 million in formerly federal ARPA dollars that is now in county dollars, and we're allocating $1 million per supervisorial district, and I have prioritized those to close gap health and social service disparity gaps and create an economic and health disparity gaps and focus on equity. We are holding more than any other supervisor, 5 town halls. I think other supervisors are holding 1 or 2. We are holding 5 over the next month and a half. And let me just tell you the dates of some. And the purpose of these town halls is to hear from the public about priorities for how to spend. It's not a lot of money, $1 million in West County. And let me just see here. It's basically, again, we've prioritized economic and health disparities. We have the ones closest to El Sobrante. We have one at San Pablo, which is convenient. We're trying to put these, in convenient locations. We have one at San Pablo City Hall on October 9th at 6 p.m. We have one at Pinole City Hall on September 30th at 6 p.m. We do have a couple at the Rise Center in Richmond, which is at 40th and McDonald, convenient location. One is on October 6th at 1 p.m. because it's a Saturday, and one is October 9th at 6. And we have one specifically for youth at the Rise Center on September 23rd at 5. And then we're doing one at St. Peter's CME Church in El Cerrito on October 2nd at 5:30. And we specifically pick locations that could accommodate a fair number of people and have access for Zoom. So all of these meetings will be accessible via Zoom or in person. And with good AV equipment. And so residents can choose any of those. And Ronnie, you could maybe send the email to folks for the minutes so that, and we can send it out to everybody on the list, but those are the dates. And then we'll be going back to the board with recommendations on how to spend that $1 million.
So those meetings will be on the county agenda website, correct?
I don't know. They should be, but I don't know. So we have our own email with, and we sent out an email to everybody on our list, and I think all of you should be on that list that has these dates. We'll send it out again to the El Sobrante list, and it will also be on our website. It's already on our website. Actually, there's six of them, as I say, 6 different meetings because we wanted to spread them out and not just have 1 or 2.
I have something that's totally different, and it's in my role as a private citizen, not as a MAC. Because I wasn't sure who to talk to, because people I've talked to have been non-responsive. It's not technically an El Sobrante, but you probably see it. If you're driving on 80 between the Dam Road on-ramp and the El Portel exit, on the right side, you've got that area that's kind of like a field. And there is a burnt out truck, it's torched, stripped, graffitied. It's been sitting there for months. I contacted Caltrans, they say, no, it's not us, you need to contact CHP. And I contacted CHP and nothing has happened, so I'm wondering, maybe
Give the
this,
location to Ronnie and then we'll track it down. How's that?
I just gave you the location, it's on the east side, eastbound.
So Ronnie's taking notes. Okay, and we'll follow it up. Okay, okay.
That's good, thank you.
Yeah. By the way, as you know, the county did all the work on drainage improvements and asphalt and has taken over Clark Road, and the work has been done and it looks nice. So that's a good thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any further questions for Supervisor Choya? Well, looks like any from the online audience?
No.
Supervisor Choya, thank you so much for your presentation. Very informative and helpful.
Good, and good luck with your discussions tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Good night.
Yeah, so the next item on the agenda is Michelle Reinhardt from Fire Protection.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Great. I'm not too loud, right?
No,
not at all.
Okay, good. So first up is our Contra Costa County Fire Protection District annual open house and pancake breakfast. Participation, admission, and parking is free to the public. It will be held Saturday, October 11th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at our Training and Safety Division at 2945 Treat Boulevard in Concord. Please join us for fun and educational days featuring live demonstrations, including fire extinguisher training, drone operations, auto extrication, roof ventilation, and rappelling. You also have the chance to meet our firefighters, recruiting team, our dispatchers, and explore our fire engines, our trucks, ambulances, rescue boats, and more. We look forward to seeing each and every one of you. More information is on our Facebook page, and it's going to be a full day of fun and resources. We have several of our partnered agencies joining us, so there will be a lot of resources available for people. Next up, just a quick update on evacuation route cleanups. We are moving with our Contra Costa County Public Works Department to establish and clean up evacuation routes all throughout the county, but our current focus in the months of August and September, including areas in West County. And this was identified partially through the Fire Safe Council, through the Regional Priority Plan, which is headed up by Diablo Fire Safe Council in collaboration with the West Contra Costa Fire Safe Council. So there's a lot of partners involved in this. And again, that's cleanup of 10 feet from the improved roadway and 13.6 from the surface of the road to allow for ingress and egress during a wildfire disaster or other need for evacuation. Next, Ronnie, if you're able to pull up the presentation, I have a quick update regarding the East Richmond Heights shaded fuel break. It is adjacent to El Sobrante, so I feel that it's pertinent. I've alluded
Michelle,
to this.
I don't have that, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, that's okay. I've alluded to it in the past, and I'm happy to share screen if that works for you, Ronnie, or we can skip it, whatever the Mac decides.
Yeah, if you can show screen, that'd be great.
Okay, great. Okay, can everyone see the presentation?
yes, maybe make it a little bit bigger. The slides down at the bottom, you got that. It's at 40%, maybe just make it a little larger.
How does that work?
Well, that looks, that's good.
Okay, great. So you can see here that the sphere of influence for the El Sobrante MAC is highlighted in green. You'll see that East Richmond Heights in the lower left-hand corner blown out in that tan color, and then in that blown out portion, you'll see it again highlighted in green in relation to the El Sobrante MAC highlighted in beige. So along the East Richmond Heights border, the east side of the East Richmond Heights border, that is East Bay Regional Parks District land. But what we are doing is working with the residents along that border to create a linear shaded fuel break. That linear shaded fuel break eventually, given funding capacity, will move into your sphere of influence. And what I'm going to do is talk about the initial steps here today, just to bring you up to speed as to where this project is. Did the slide change for you all?
Yep.
Okay, great. So just to give you some background, in 2023-2024, there was a CAL FIRE prevention grant that was offered. Our requested amount was over $1 million. We submitted this under CCI, or California Climate Investments Program, as the Contra Costa County Fire Protection District. The total project proposal at that time was 73 acres. We did receive letters of support from Richmond Fire and East Bay Regional Parks District. Unfortunately, our application was denied in 2024. So this is the original boundaries of the original project. You'll see that it's an extended linear shaded fuel break from the El Cerrito, Kensington border, Fire Protection District border, along through Richmond Fire's jurisdiction up to and including the area of McBride. So again, along the border of Wildcat Canyon Regional Park, extending northwest of the starting point. And the color zones here, you'll see that the fire hazard severity zone class are highlighted in red, yellow, and that blue color, and then down into the urban area. This is important because shaded fuel breaks offer a standpoint for fire crews to slow the spread of fire before it reaches the urban environment, similar to what we saw in East Palisades and Eaton fires in Southern California, how it carried all the way down into the water, into the water border. So on my visit to the area, I just wanted to provide, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? So here we see a really thick understory, heavy ladder fuels, poison oak. I would say that it's above your head if you're standing on the ground. That poison oak extends, above a 6-foot man standing on the ground. You'll see a little bit of wildlife there as that butterfly is sitting there on the fence. So we're looking to address this area, but also preserve the ecosystem, given the limited access and the dead and down trees that are indeed providing an extended habitat, but also restricting our ability to fight a wildland fire that starts so close to the urban environment. So what is a shaded fuel break? Fuel breaks give firefighters access to control wildfires and are useful in slowing the spread of fires, as I just said, before they grow beyond the initial attack capabilities. So essentially that means the fire has the ability to outrun or outstaff our crews. Fuel breaks permit responders to reach the leading edges of a fire and protect isolated communities. Isolated in the sense that there's a large wildland area that leads into the urban environment. So we refer to that as the WUI, or the wildland urban interface. Fuel breaks can stop or reduce the lateral spread of fires. And then again, in this heavily wooded area with massive amounts of vegetation in various stages of decay, the shaded fuel break would be implemented, retaining the canopy shade, again, to slow future growth of many invasive grasses and brush species to assist in our maintenance efforts ongoing. So what mechanisms are we going to use to address and create this shaded fuel break? First, prescribed burning. In areas where biomass cannot be mechanically removed, we would propose that prescribed burning would be one of the mechanisms, but one of many. Not this is in no particular order. Mechanical treatment, use of motorized equipment to chip vegetation in most selected areas. Manual treatment, of course, the use of hand tools where it's appropriate to protect, again, that ecosystem and that habitat for vital wildlife. And using livestock to reduce the targeted plant population. Again, the invasive species, we're looking to maintain the habitat and ecosystem of native species, therefore reducing the fire fuels and competition for the land on the vegetation strata. Finally, where it is absolutely necessary, and this is really the last option of resort, is the chemical application designed to inhibit growth of targeted plant species. Again, this would be spot treatment. This wouldn't be large spraying. So the scope of work, we would move to decrease the amount of woody and vegetative material that is available to conversion to greenhouse gases by an unplanned combustion process. What is an unplanned combustion process? A wildfire. Significant reduction in the probability of uncontrolled wildfires from starting or entering, again, here's that phrase, wildland-urban interface, or WUI. Increase the effectiveness of defensible space surrounding residential structures. Again, this is done in combination and partnership with the residents of the area. And I'll get to more of our outreach process in just a moment. Provide a safer community with improved evacuation routes, access points for fire crews to establish anchor points. Again, it's important when that fire is taking off, possibly with a wind behind it, that we can create those anchor points to slow or stop the spread into the urban area. And then reducing the ladder and ground fuels, removing litter and tree litter from the area, and then we would move to prescribed burning in the winter when there's higher humidities and lower temperatures. Annual grass and weeds would be thinned or grazed to less than 6 inches, consistent with our weed abatement guidelines. We would cut trees and remove them or chip depending on the size and health of tree and access. Again, we're not looking to moonscape the area. We're looking to remove let's say those small shoots from a eucalyptus tree, or basically anything less than 10 inches in diameter. And of course, this is all being done in compliance. What we propose is going to be done in compliance with forest practice rules and best management practices. So here's an example of another shaded fuel break. This is the starting point, showing you the canopy in place. This is before our work begins or in the initial stages. You'll see there on the lower right-hand corner a small area of clearing where a pile has begun and will be built out in the process for pile burning. Next is that pile burning process, a little closer look at that. You can see that you have a clear line of sight, reducing those ladder fuels. We've previously talked about the 3 types of fires, being vegetation to vegetation, vegetation to structure, and structure to structure. So by limiting the vegetation, horizontal vegetation sitting on the ground, removing the opportunity for that fire to move into the canopy, creating more ember casts that would carry into the urban environment and make a significant threat to your homes. Finally, here's the finished area. You see plenty of trees that are still standing. You see that area where the pile burn has taken place. You see that little darkened area. But again, you have clear line of sight. And what do we see here? We see plenty of shade. We see plenty of places for wildlife to travel between the ridges down into the lower lying areas. But you have a much safer environment for defense of fire. So that brings us to the current fire prevention grant. So in 2025, 2026, the amount was reduced. So our maximum amount to apply for this grant was $950,000. So that meant a reduction in the project area. So we went from 73 acres to now 57 acres. We submitted the CAL FIRE Prevention Grant using Prop 4 funding as our option. We met the grant deadline of August 6th with board approval to apply. We received letters of support and letters of commitment from both residents and agency partners. A very public thank you to all of the residents who provided those letters of commitment, 232 in total. As far as future engagement, you know, the staff will provide direct updates to the East Richmond Heights Municipal Advisory Council within their sphere of influence throughout the grant process. But I thought that it would be helpful to engage the El Sobrante MAC and public, because our eventual goal is to extend this along those original boundaries that I showed in the very first slide, moving north and northeast to, again, reduce the vegetative material and increase the fire adaptability of the area, bringing safety to the residents and community. The PIO will be pushing out updates to our various social media platforms. Again, I encourage you to follow us on Facebook. Fuels reduction contractors and staff will engage with each and every resident prior to and during the project. This is not a situation where we just enter the property and start doing our work. This will be a full engagement process with each resident as we reduce fuels on the back of their properties, again, where it meets up with the East Bay Regional Parks District land. Concurrently, ConFire will continue our work with the HOAs, Firewise USA neighborhoods, and high-risk neighbors to ensure that defensible space is maintained for maximum benefit. So as part of this, this will include an education process of how to maintain the shaded fuel break on their private properties to increase that benefit long term. So you'll see, because we moved from 73 acres to 57 acres, that the head of this project was essentially cut off. So that part that is just east of McBride Avenue, we had to create that linear shaded fuel break, but then create a stopping point. So in future grants, we will identify a grant that matches the need for moving north and then northeast. Again, local resource, the website is www.cccfpd.org, and our email is info@cccfpd.org. Please direct all your questions related to the project to the info@ email. If you have specific questions for me, my email is mrine@cccfpd.org, and my phone number is 925-440-5831. If I indeed do not answer the phone, it just means that I'm doing some sort of engagement with the public, similar to how I am doing now. So giving my full attention to this process. And if you do get my voicemail, I will return your calls just as soon as I can. With that, Chair, I take any questions from the MAC board and then from the public, please.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Great presentation as always. Any questions? For Michelle?
Recording in progress.
Questions from our audience for fire protection? Please.
Hi, I'm Barbara here. I'm actually on the East Richmond Heights MAC. And I just want to talk about, I don't have a question, I just have a comment that if and when you are going to engage with the community, my particular area, which is Hasbro Heights, we did a really effective campaign, which is a lot of labor, but we didn't get t-shirts from the fire department. We wanted t-shirts because we were really successful. But I would be available to speak with you to let you know how we did it and how we organized around it, because it is basically reaching community members and getting their signatures. It's not as easy as just sending an email out to everybody. So we were successful, right, Michelle? And
oh, Bara, you were the most successful. Bara has been a partner in this project from the very beginning. She signed on immediately and and has been just a really huge support. This project would not be possible without Bara, Royer, the rest of the MAC board. I really appreciate all of the time and effort that you put into it, and I'm working with the chief on a recognition. Thank you.
Just want a t-shirt, but we are available to you and we can help.
Well, we really appreciate that. I mean, this is fire protection's a big
Yeah. interest
for us here, and we've had a lot of discussions on it. Or MAC, so we'll probably have people who will reach out to
Please
you.
do.
So thank you so much for coming and
Absolutely.
offering your assistance. Chris?
Yeah, I have one question was, when did you say you would know about whether you get the grant this time around?
Oh, I wish I knew. So it when you put in for a grant, they give you the deadline, and our deadline was a very quick turnaround. Those 232 letters were gathered in a period of 2 weeks. It was amazing. And so I would anticipate the earliest would be October, November.
Okay, and an unrelated question has to do with old fire extinguishers, because it seems like I know there was a time when you would get your fire extinguisher refurbished by the fire department, but now it seems like you just buy them and they have a shelf life on them. What are we supposed to do with those exactly? Because it seems like there's pressure. Do they go into hazardous waste, or
They can be recharged by private companies.
Yes.
We do that for the school.
And I have a great community person who does that.
okay, yeah.
So if you've got fire extinguisher, you gotta get recharged.
That seems kind of like a waste.
Don't do that, have them recharged.
Any other questions
From
from?
Laura, do you have?
Yeah, Michelle, since we don't wanna put them in the same situation that we were in, is this a process that we can start earlier and have them gain some momentum so that there's not a 10-day turnaround?
I wish. So the grant was announced, and then the deadline was, like you said, like 10, 11 days later. So this particular grant was not, did not have that time built in. Future grants, we will take that into account as whether to apply or not apply.
But are the letters the same, no matter the particular thing, so that if they just started to collect them, that they can
Well,
be?
Yeah, so sometimes it's a letter of support, sometimes it's a letter of commitment, and the grant must be named in those letters. So it's very specific to that grant.
So I think we have a pretty substantial agenda to work through today, so unless there are further questions for Michelle, or propose that we move on. Thank you so much, Farah, for coming to our meeting, and thank you, Michelle, as always, for the presentation.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, MAC Board.
Okay, so I don't see the California Highway Patrol, and Ronnie has informed me that Monish Sen from Public Works will be unable to make it today. So that leads into our discussion items. And the first one on the agenda is file number CDLP 25-02031. This is on Valley View Road in the Triangle area. And this is basically a land use permit to continue the approval of a rooftop structure associated with T-Mobile's telecommunications business, so.
Sorry, Tom, can I interrupt you? I thought O'Neill was gonna be able to talk before we went into all this.
Well, he's on this DI board, so he's coming up shortly.
Okay, well, I just.
Yeah, so he's on the agenda right here under discussion.
Okay.
All right, so basically this project is already approved, it's operating under its existing approval. They're filing this application because they need to have it in place because their approval expires in 2026. And they aren't proposing any modifications. So I'd like to just propose that we have no comment.
Yeah. It's just ongoing.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay,
We're voting to say nothing.
Yes.
voting,
Okay, got it.
love it.
Just clear.
I would like to say one thing on that, Tom, and I'm dealing with this right now for land use permit. That if the landowner is different from the tenant that's applying for the land use permit, we really need to take a look at it, because I'm dealing with an issue right now. With the business here in El Sobrante, where the tenant applied for the land use permit without the permission of the landowner. And now the landowner is stuck with the money, having to pay the back fees of in excess of $50,000.
That is
Because
no way
the
off.
tenant has left the building and left the landowner with the bill.
Okay.
So I
in
see
this-
there that it's the same.
It's the same.
So I'm good with it, but I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the board, that that's something that we need to look at every time we're looking at renewing a land use permit.
That's a great point,
Okay.
and no one would like to be saddled with $50,000.
They're not responsible for it, or they became responsible.
All right, so let's
I know.
continue. Second item, Ronnie's gonna give us an update on the countywide noise ordinance.
Yes, not much of an update, but Brett Farrington did let me know that he spoke with the DCD director beginning of this month. And that they're looking to bring a proposed plan to the Board of Supervisors within the next few months. They're looking at potentially October. And so things are moving forward, albeit at a snail's pace, but
Well, October will get here before you know it.
yeah, but they did have a meeting on the next steps, and they're bringing that to the attention of the Board of Supervisors.
Board of Supervisors have a meeting?
No, Greg Farrington, who's the point person within DCD, had a meeting with the director, Development and Conservation.
All right, so the next item on the, thank you, Ronnie.
Mhm.
The next item on the agenda, number DI3, discussion item 3, MAC recommendation on county policy for resident protection from ICE cooperation. And I think the reason, just a couple of minutes to preface the discussion. You know, normally in this body, we don't talk about federal politics. It's focused on what happens in our unincorporated area of El Sobrante, and particularly anything related to what the county can do to affect the problem. But in this particular case, we have a situation where members of our community can sort of be arbitrarily dragged off the street by people in masks. And there are things, as Supervisor Joya pointed out, that the county can do to impact the problem. So, you know, I feel like it's pretty reasonable for us to weigh in on this. And I think most people agree, so it's on our agenda. And I guess my point of view on this is as follows. I wanted Supervisor Joya to give a summary of what the county was doing so far. And I think we could take a couple of approaches. You know, one of them, if we don't think that we can suggest anything that would improve on what they're already doing, then, you know, maybe a letter of endorsement thanking them and encouraging the county to keep its efforts going. We all heard Supervisor Joya's presentation, and so, you know, maybe a good point of discussion are, you know, are there things we could contribute as a MAC in terms of discussions that might be helpful to the county in sort of improving the response and protecting our, you know, our fellow citizens and our fellow community members from this sort of arbitrary treatment by ICE. And so part of that is, you know, immigration, defense, funding, et cetera, but you know, it seems like there's another piece that has to do with all of these various budget cuts that Supervisor Joya talked about that certainly impact that presentation, you know, particularly thinking of kids being kicked out of Head Start or 70,000 people being kicked off of county health. And then, another issue is in terms of, is there anything we can weigh in terms of recommendations to the sheriff's office? So those are kind of three areas where our discussion could focus on. And, I think our goal should be to come up with something that's useful to Supervisor Joya so that he can present it to the council and maybe the board of supervisors, and maybe, something good can come out of that. I mean, I think we had a role in getting this noise ordinance going. We had a role in helping getting the Clark Road fix going, so maybe we can help with this. That's all, sorry.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you.
All right, anybody want to weigh in?
Isn't there a county policy in place already? Nothing
For what?
for the resident protection.
So what Supervisor Joya said was that there's sort of two pieces here. One of them is the sheriffs. They can't really tell the sheriffs what to do because the sheriff is an elected official, so he's got independent discretion. But where they can impact things is in county offices that are not the sheriffs.
Right.
So particularly these health offices, and he was mentioning that, they have developed policies for no cooperation with ICE. And now they're trying to figure out how how they could potentially prevent ICE from getting into these county clinical sites.
Okay, and that was my question, do we have a policy in place started already that we can look at so that we can look at improving on it?
No,
Or is this something we're just developing now?
this is new, right? I mean, we haven't had the problem of ICE storming into hospitals until recently.
Yeah.
This is new. I don't think we've had policy about that.
No, we don't.
I can tell you,
It is-
29 years of ministry, I've never worried about federal agents storming into my church, and now I am. So, I mean, I think this is new.
So, but I think that, they're thinking about it and they're trying to figure out, how to help, which I think is a positive thing. And so my question is, what can we do in terms of making a statement or making suggestions on what to prioritize?
I think that the option of,
Excuse me. She'll tell you what we've done.
yeah, can I finish, please? Thank you. I think we should, this is what I think, is based upon what the supervisor said and gave us all the information that he gave us. I think a letter stating that, thank you for the information provided, we as the municipal advisory council support you and the other supervisors in your endeavors to keep people safe. And that whatever you continue to do to further that action we support. So it's a current thing and we basically support them in the future as well, because they have folks' best interest in mind. I'm thinking stuff of like, would this happen? My next door neighbor is having a huge eucalyptus tree taken down because it's a gigantic and it's a threat to the property, probably mine too. And the crew they are Latino. So I'm thinking, well, with that recent Supreme Court decision saying, well, you really can't look at them because of the color of their skin and what language they're speaking, but maybe you can if there are extenuating circumstances. I'm kind of paraphrasing it a little bit. And it's like, yeah, well, what happens if these, I don't know their status, I don't care. But somebody might, and it's like suddenly it's like, it's this nightmare that I have this crew that kind of might go down the street and take these people away. And it's just ridiculous. So, I think we support what the supervisors are doing at their level and on a parallel track, while we're doing that, we as a community ourselves can come up with some other things to do parallel, because if we try to do it here at this, I think that might kind of convolute things a bit. That's my take.
Okay, Jen.
My understanding is generally as a municipal advisory council, we don't have any power to compel. But we can just speak our mind. And I think the way to keep it is, as I see it, as simple and clean as possible is to just say, essentially. That the county should not be offering or engaging in any activity that supports immigration beyond what they are mandated to do by federal law. Because you can't get them to say they should, damn federal laws, but just not offer an inch beyond what is an absolute requirement that they do. And that includes things like, if there is not a federal law requiring you to allow these people into county offices, county health places, then the answer should simply at its face be no. Like, it's the same thing, like if a cop comes to your door, wants to come inside, come back with a warrant, but it's like on a much grander scale than that, it's like come back with legislation. Until you have something saying you get to do this, you don't get to do it. And just keep it as simple as like, don't exceed by an inch the mandates of the laws in place.
Great point, guys.
Well, in today's East Bay Time, there was an article about the San Jose, I'm not sure if it was city or county.
City, there is no San Jose County.
Okay, yeah, that's right, so it must be city, but they wanted to have an ordinance related to requiring all law enforcement to be unmasked and show their faces and have identification. So if there's something we can ask the county to do is something like that, that'd be great. And
I mean, I think your county law enforcement, they're all identified and sort of obey that.
yeah, well, anybody who's doing any enforcement in their jurisdiction, I think they were asking them to, to pass something, even the federal ones, to be able to be unmasked and have show their identity.
Can a local government?
I should have read the article a little bit closer, but that was the idea of the article and an ordinance that they're pursuing, and if there's something we can do.
So Sue,
I just wanted to say that I appreciate what George said, and I appreciate what Mickey said, and what Jed said. I wouldn't say the supervisors, though. I would encourage John to pursue what he's doing, because not all the supervisors are quite on board.
Fair enough, that's fair.
And we are John's appointees.
Yes.
So, and I think we could say, thank you for looking into this extremely important issue, something like that, and trying to find solutions to protect the public. And I do think these unmasking laws, which are lots of places, I hope that they will explore that. Because there are many jurisdictions around the country trying that. And I think that's really important. So I would love to encourage John to also pursue that. I get it, he might not get there, but.
thank you, Melinda.
You
Sue.
had something to add about masking from Director and state?
Yeah, there's a state,
Bill.
bill, thank you. I'm not sure where it is in the legislature right now, but would require, all law enforcement, including ICE, federal agents to not be masked and show a badge. And I don't know if it extends to, you have to have a court order that's signed by a judge, because that's the other thing that's going on, is that they're showing the warrant, but it's not really signed by any legal authority, it's just signed by a supervisor that says this is legal.
Fake.
Right,
Yeah.
so I think it's a Senate bill, I think it's Weiner and Adderdean.
Adderdean, yeah.
They're co-sponsoring it.
Well, I would definitely support adding,
Yeah,
support that bill.
yeah.
Because the supervisors do often take positions on state legislation.
Yeah.
And I would love for them to take a positive position on that.
Yeah, what, the other thing, I was just a thought, because he was talking about county buildings, right, and training up the staff to be able to counter whatever, but the other thing we're working on with Indivisible is how to get our community informed. And I thought, I don't know if the board is in favor of this, but a statement to support perhaps some
training, local training to help our businesses who are by and large run by our immigrant community, so who are both at risk.
You know, when he said, how should we spend $1 million? I think we could spend a little bit of $1 million on that right there, on expanding the know your rights.
Yeah.
And as a business owner, I mean, that would take a lot of money and it could be really helpful. If nothing else, the county could print a bunch of stuff.
This, for those who can't see.
This is a red card.
The red card, the Know Your Rights card. It's, you know, for those of us older, I need reading glasses to read it, but it's very, very important. And I think Sue, I don't know your name, I don't wanna call you, hey you, but you.
Rena.
Okay, Rena, I think you and Sue had something that you wanted to share on this topic as well.
Two things. First of all, I want to say that Supervisor Joy did a ripping great job at the Board of Supervisors meeting last month.
We should put that in the letter. You did a ripping great job. I mean, you know where it came from.
That sounds so British, it must be Sue.
But he was eloquent, he was forceful, he was sort of leading the charge. There were three supervisors who were clearly on board. One of them kind of backed off and they're doing some kind of committee thing. But I think absolutely telling John that I mean, I don't know about that's here obviously, but you know, I felt kind of proud of him for what he was doing for us and standing up in a relatively dangerous situation. Secondly, to say, add on to about businesses, there is a need to train small businesses who are almost certainly pretty frightened about this whole thing, because not only are they maybe personally frightened, but they're also, you know, their business will go under if they get raided or if people are too afraid to come to work. That's it. So they need to know what to do. And I think it probably is going to take more than volunteers going around with a couple of posters if it can possibly come from the county. This would be so cool, and it could extend to franchise businesses as well as small businesses. The larger corporation businesses like Target and whatever, that's probably beyond our reach. But having some county stuff is going to give it much more gravitas.
So,
I just want to make a quick statement about the demasking. I mean, I think it's a great idea, but one thing to understand is that they can lie and say they're local police. If a mask is the only thing that's telling me you're ICE, that you may be harming them by making everybody take it off, because they can legally say, police, I'm local police, and they show up. Now these people have no idea that they're not dealing with ICE because we're making everybody look the same way. Just a 2 cents on the demasking. That they can lie and say they're local police, you know, but making, you know, so it's just a thought.
So I guess one point that came up to me were the discussion of the various cuts to healthcare and Head Start, things like that. And it seems to me like these cuts to healthcare, you know, 70,000 people being thrown off the county health programs. In addition to, you know, everything that Supervisor Joy had mentioned about people waiting longer to get diagnosed, get hospitalized, and all of that. It's also a gateway to bankruptcy and it's a gateway to homelessness. And so I know it goes beyond just the immigrant community, but I think it's something that probably disproportionately affects the immigrant community. So we can, you know, emphasize that as well.
Does it happen here in El Sobrante, and if so, how many businesses?
Yeah, I heard that there was an ice truck in the plaza over there by Soleil. This was probably a month ago, but nothing came of it.
We do have someone on Zoom that was in
Yeah.
Maryland.
Maryland Hill.
Unmute yourself,
Unmute.
please.
You're still muted, Marilyn.
Yeah, I wanted to remind all of you that Sheriff Livingston is an elected official, and his election is coming up in November. So we might look at the competition for that position. Can you hear me?
Marilyn, next year, Marilyn, not this year.
Next year?
Yeah, not this year.
The other thing is that we've been canvassing both El Sobrante and San Pablo with posters and information to the retailers down there and some churches in San Pablo. And there's kind of a difference in the two different areas of the response given. But I think it's a very worthwhile thing to do, because if you go down the street and in every window it says ICE is not welcome here, it's effective. And it's hard to know if they will break the law to go through that, but I think it will affect them. So I think that practice is actually going to work, and people do appreciate it. People are terrified more in San Pablo. I think in El Sobrante, they it's kind of a mixed group, a mixed reaction. They kind of don't believe it's going to happen to them yet. So that's kind of the difference in the two communities. Yeah.
So who's, Marilyn, who's doing the canvassing?
Indivisible.
Oh, Indivisible, okay, okay, Melinda answered the question for me, thank you, thank you. Okay. Not sure.
We are well represented tonight.
I see that.
So
Yeah, that's
O'Neill-
it.
O'Neill, were you suggesting that if ICE takes off their mask, they can
Well, I'm just giving
impersonate
you
a police officer?
I'm just giving you a perspective of,
Okay,
the mask might be the only thing that tells them that that's ICE. Because I'm walking in and all it says is police, I
Yeah.
can, they can legally identify.
Except the law says not just demasking, but you must have your ID
Well, I
and
realize that.
your name.
The ID still can just say police on it, now I don't know what the police is.
okay, but that could be,
That's all I'm saying, it's just
Yeah,
a perspective of that.
but that would be impersonating a police officer, right?
They're actually allowed to do that right now, legally, if you take the know your rights, that's one of the things they
Yeah.
teach, to know your rights. They're legally allowed to impersonate a police officer.
Who, ICE?
ICE is.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying the mask might be the only thing that difference.
Well, the mask could also be somebody kidnapping you off the
Yeah.
street that you could shoot in self-defense. What is that?
Halloween is
This is more of a comment. If the masks are on and you video, you don't know who you're videoing.
Right.
So I totally support the masks off.
And ID, so you can see a name. Even if they're, whether they're impersonating police or whatever, and they could be lying, but you get a name, you have some way to try to track them down.
So I think we have.
Well, I can talk.
Oh, go ahead.
I can actually talk to Chris after.
All right, so I think we had a pretty good discussion about this item. And I think what we can do is write a letter to Supervisor Joya that would commends him for what he's been doing so far to advance protections against ICE within the county. And we can make some additional suggestions, and I think a good suggestion to start with is encourage him and the other supervisors to support existing, proposed state legislation requiring ICE members to show their identification and take their masks off. In terms of Jed's suggestion, to not go, 1 nanometer beyond the Constitution, federal law, in terms of supporting ICE and cooperating with ICE. And then finally, I think it was a great idea to provide support with this new money to educate businesses on how to protect their employees.
And also county they're thinking about doing county trainings for people who are employed by county institutions.
So this is, I'm gonna add just a slight piece of, so he mentioned Stand Together, Stand Together Contra Costa. And that is the main organization that has been doing all of this response to ICE, et cetera. But they are woefully understaffed and they have like almost no reach in West County. They are really East County, and we discovered that pretty fast. We've been trying just as volunteers to kind of help, but if Stand Together in particular and the other partners with them got a little funding and we got some more organizing, we could really do something. And that we, you know, they're working like around the clock and it's not enough. So I would love to get a little funding towards them and the other partners that are doing this. John would know, but that would be amazing. And I will put that into the how to spend $1 million.
So-
Expand, Stand Together, Contra Costa, it more into West County.
Melinda, would you
Yes,
shoot me an email about
I
that?
will.
Okay.
I will.
So
I'll
I
give you some verbiage.
So I think we have something that we can send to Supervisor Joya that has some suggestions that, you know, and beyond saying good job, that might actually be useful, so.
Would be great.
Or I guess if we wanted to use faint phrase, brilliant, right?
Brilliant.
It's a right, you know.
Right,
Bloody brilliant.
okay.
Bloody brilliant.
All right, so I think it's all in favor of this proposed communication to Supervisor Joya. All right, good, approved. So I think we can go on to the next item, which is the impact of the SOS, the loss of the SOS Richmond service contract and how the MAC can help. So O'Neill, why don't you get up and tell us about what you think the impact of your service contract loss is?
So I'll tell you what the impact is to the community, but I just wanna. Some of the things he said, not everything he said was true. We did ask for workforce, there's $5.5 million. We put out a proposal saying we can do this, but got ghosted. We were also at the table when they wrote that proposal. Why? Because I lived in that encampment 8 years ago. So when they needed insight about what's going on to people, they came to me.
And this was specifically the county?
This is specifically the county, you know, Maso, you know, rest, the person that did it, that had the gentleman handshake when we wrote this, passed away, and maybe that was the only person supporting that. So that's why this is a big thing, because it's not that we just didn't get, we helped write the proposal. We were instrumental in writing this proposal. All of what he said was already in the proposal, the tiny homes, the this, all of that was true. But so was a part of SOS's services. Yes, we asked for workforce, but for them to say that we only wanted workforce, that is one fraction of what I do, what SOS does. It was in the proposal, we understood they wouldn't pay for it, no problem. We changed our proposal and changed it again, got ghosted again, said, okay, then I heard that it was too high in price. Okay, so let me break it down. The reason why I asked him, when is it being resolved? I don't want to, you know, I want to see them get housing. That's, you know, awkward question maybe for the service provider to ask, but where are their showers? Nobody else does showers in West County other than us. I know they're doing a trash removal. Not the tonnage that I'm gonna tell you guys. I'm getting the complaints from the businesses, from the encampments. I just got one today. You know, so these things, all of what he said is true, but to say that was the only thing we asked for was way out of what we asked for. Yes, it was a part of what we asked for when we understood that wasn't gonna get funded, but we were still understanding the parts that was the handshake was not the workforce, was the showers, was the trash removal, was the laundry. Everything else was extras. Hey, this is what we can do. But to say that was the only thing we asked for is way far-fetched, so. I really wanted to say that because it gave me a smile, too bad it was like an evil smile and I heard him doing it, because I was like, wait, that's not true. So I just wanna go through our numbers of what this last year of servicing El Sobrante, and the majority of it is that encampment, but I had to look at the whole El Sobrante, the way our data works. I'm looking at it as this whole area, but just showers in 1 year, we did 896 showers. That's an average, roughly averaging, due to some breakdowns and some other things that happen, roughly about 100 people a month are getting a shower. Sometimes that's even higher, fluctuates, but roughly about 100 a month. Laundry, we did 564 people got at least one load of laundry done. The Warm Hand, which is the resource center that was in the handshake talk when we wrote this proposal. The Warm Hands are Wellness and Resource Center. Okay. We've been doing it in the San Pablo Library. That was a part of it. We were gonna do a pop-up in the Church of Christ parking lot, take it away from the San Pablo Library and put it right in the parking lot where everything happens. And one of our familiar faces there is Terry, so you know, this is where they get more than just a case manager. It's a whole person look at it. It's understanding their need, not me telling me, thinking what their need is. We ask them to let us know what's going on in their cabinet, what's going on in their life. So this is the point of us being able to be the peers and walk you through some of the steps. We did last year 450 people walking those doors. We did that 1 day a week, 4 hours. So 450 people 1 day in El Sobrante, San Pablo Library walking. That's gone. Our trash service, just on the last month that we serviced that encampment, did 8.135 tons of trash. Tons of trash.
That's a lot of trash.
That is a lot of trash.
But just think
One
about it.
And it's nasty trash too.
That's 1 month. Some of the things I want to point out about, like, when we talk about the workforce development, when we introduced that, we also had a separate contract with CCRCD, don't ask me what it means, but they're people that take care of some of the creeks and stuff like that. We have, and we still actively have, a program running with them called the Pinot Project. And what that is creek restoration. What we were trying to do was to get, and we did, we had 2 sign up, 1 is successfully made it to the program right now. And that is taking them who all live along the creek and teaching them how to treat their creek, how to know the plants, how to understand how to clean it correctly. So they're doing less damages. We're taking trash out of there, we're not just damaging all the trees that as we go by. We understand what's supposed to be in that creek. The idea wasn't necessarily for them to fund the whole, we had this already going on, so we had funding and we started funding. Now this is it was built as like classroom, and one of the people from that encampment has made it into the extended version, so he has another 2 months. I think they just extended it through October into November. And this is working with professionals, understanding and getting a certificate at the end of it to say, now I've taken a class and understand and can apply using that. So when we're talking the workforce stuff, it wasn't like we're like fund the whole thing. No, but here's a part of what we asked to fund, because we're now teaching them how to steward their money correctly. You know, we're giving them not just the workforce skills, but we're giving them actually skills they can go out and apply at Planning Justice or other places that know how to work with plants, that understand the people they're working with. So, I mean, a lot of what he said was true, but that was true when we set it out. So I just, at this point, you know, when I came last month, we were on a scare. So really what's going on now with the city is we had to pull some of our funding here when we didn't get this, because the city of Richmond is also not funding us like they used to be. And a lot of that was because this was obviously not promised, but understood that we were getting something out of this. You know, when I asked him about when it's closing, it's okay. You don't want to fund this big picture, then fund 12 showers, 1 shower a month. fund one trash day. We broke it down to one event. So if they thought they were gonna close it in a month, they could fund us for a month and not the whole whatever hundreds of $1,000s that runs the whole program. So we tried every measure, and that was the best answer I gotten since we put this proposal with them, was hearing John say that why we didn't get it, because we just got ghosted. Ghosted. Anything I heard was because I'm friendly with this one in the county, or I'm friendly, hey, I heard about this and I heard about that. That's the most I've heard about this, besides me and a friend talking, going, hey, they're talking, you guys are too expensive. We're funding the encampment, we're putting the pockets back in. Instead of just housing them, it's great, I wanna see all of them housed. But there's a way about, they're waiting for the shelter, well, how are they building these people's lives to sustain that housing? What are we doing there? We're just setting people up for failure. If we're building $2 million worth of housing, but nothing else attached to it. I know they have case management, I know they have all these things, but where's the wellness piece? How are we growing their lives? Teaching them anything different, let's start in the encampment. So that way when they get to the housing, it's not a culture shock. They understand what this transfer means, they understand what it is to live in a roof. That's all. I can stay doing this for hours, but. Thank you, Ozil.
So, I guess I'm trying to think of how we could help you.
Well, I mean. I think you kind of gave the, we're not gonna get it there. I don't know what the hell.
But I guess, as someone who's applied for grants before, I mean, totally different areas, but I spent my whole professional life writing grant applications. It seems like what's happened is sort of water under the bridge, right? What's gone is gone. And so what's in the future are these new pots of money. So 60 million there, 5 million here, 1 million here. And so the thing to do is sort of cone down on what you can do that the county is not planning to do. So they may have, they are building the housing. We don't know what kind of quote workforce development is going along to support that housing. I mean, John has mentioned to me that it's a question of housing plus social support.
For the people that make it into that housing.
For the people that make it into that housing.
Firsthand, some of the people, but like I said, I'm not against this.
Right.
But some of the people are already seeing housing, are already getting some of that subsidy, which is great. But if they're not going to places like their building, which I like the 55 building unit in San Pablo, I've housed people there, amazing. But he also didn't tell us how many of these people are gonna get that 45 people.
But I'm wondering, I guess what I'm wondering is, can you specify a specific set of services that are completely apart from what the county is offering? And say, look, okay, here we appreciate that you're moving forward and housing these people, but these are certain things that are outside of the scope of the services, and these are things that we can do. And then the other part of it is, we appreciate the construction of these units to house its people, it's not sufficient. And this is what we can do to help the population that is not being addressed by this group and is outside of the scope of your work.
I mean, showers and laundry, we are the only ones in West County offering that. So we are the only.
But again, what can we do to?
No, I'm just saying, I understand that, but.
I think what the chair said, maybe, you gave this wonderful report, passionate, and we appreciate that because we need to know what's going on. I think summarizing that almost in like an email is like what's happened, what can happen, what you do that they don't do. And then what we would do is we would incorporate that into a letter to the supervisor saying, I would phrase it, this is how I would phrase it. We are concerned that this is happening and that people are falling through the cracks. Basically, because that's what you're saying is that, am I interpreting that correctly?
Yes,
okay, something of that nature, because we said this program is vital, it needs to keep going, it does great work. And we're concerned that work is being compromised, so something like that, am I on the right track?
Yeah, I think you said it better than I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Go ahead.
that happens once in a while.
It seems like, I'm new to all this, so if I've missed something, forgive me. It seems like part of what I'm hearing is you provide a vital bridge for the people who are waiting for the housing. And if one thinks about it as a bridge, while more permanent facilities are being developed, and as the transitional program to help people be able to be ready for that. And that just sort of I don't know, just. It's a good way to look at it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good.
Do you think that you could drill down on exactly why the grant was refused or the monies were refused? Because it seems like there's something else going on behind the scenes. And it feels like maybe the MAC could put some pressure on figuring out why was it denied, in which case then something could be done to address those concerns. Because this has become a program that is really integrated in El Sobrante.
What just kind of strikes me from personal experience, it's almost as if like a box was checked on an application somewhere and the box that was checked said workforce development. So the counties, we're doing workforce development. And so we have to, I think.
There is that word where the grant does not fund that. They said, we understood that, so we took that out and so in the shower.
So I think O'Neill, a good step forward would be for you to craft me an email stating what you're doing and how that differs from what the county is doing. I like the idea that you're providing a bridge and, you know, to all these people who are being helped by the county because of the limitations, the scope of that. And I think we can maybe write a letter saying, you know, look, this is a good thing to invest in and consider the use of these extra funds to support it.
All right, so now.
I also, did you say that you don't have funding now for trash removal?
Okay, so I was gonna actually stop before this ended, cause I wanted, for that encampment, yes. But
The one
for,
across from Ray's.
before, I can't do that, so one of the issues is that where our funding works. No, we don't see the blurred lines, we have very little. I think we have $10,000 San Pablo money right now. Where it's gonna go, I can't promise it can go into trash. So there's such a small pot of money that San Pablo actually gives us. When I'm identifying where I'm gonna service, like, so. I have flyers, so in case you still see the homeless, you can show them a flyer and go, they're only a mile down the road. I didn't just abandon these people. I went to a Richmond encampment and said, hey, this is the closest I could find to service the Richmond people. I'm not gonna turn anybody away from a shower. You know, but when I'm looking at it, I have to identify that I'm servicing Richmond. And, you know, and so for our contract and trash removal, you guys, we will be at that event. We can still be a call. I can still do the neighboring, like these encampments down here. If there's any of those issues, by all means, we can still address that. But because that sits on that border between San Pablo, you know, Caltrans, it is that gray area of like, well, now the city cut our budget. I need to spend this wisely. I need to really think about where an encampment that they're paying for is. So actually in El Sobrante and the surrounding Richmond, I can still come to trash.
Okay, O'Neill, thank you so much for coming and presenting to us.
So what does it cost you per shower per person?
Per person, I don't know per person, I believe, and maybe I should have brought those numbers.
Or what's the
I can
cost
write it
of
in.
one load of laundry?
Well, one load of laundry, so we didn't do load of laundries, we did per event. And I believe the showers were something like roughly, like almost $1,000 per event. That's covering gas, that's covering.
And how many people were in that shower event that you said
About
earlier?
25 each event. So the event would run for 2 hours. So as many people like when we did it at El Sobrante Church of Christ. They let us use their electric, they let us use their water, so we went until their gates closed, which was 12:30. We had to start packing up. We were seeing roughly about 25 in each event. You know, so that also factors that in, if it's like at a place where we don't have water. We have to go with full tanks and we only need to do about 15, which once we deset, it's no point of us to fill up and go back for another 15 minutes.
I have a question or a comment too, Tom.
Go ahead.
I just wanna say that I know personally that the services that SOS isn't providing right now has been a huge detriment to the community. The church of Christ not getting their showers and the food that is provided every week along with that. And all the people that are just so dependent on, they started a wellness center and then it's like the rug got pulled out from underneath them. They were steady, everything was going along great, everybody was getting acclimated to, you know, just showing up and starting a community. And now it's like everybody is just scared and angry and hopeless, feeling hopeless again, so.
Are you a nonprofit?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you looked at doing any public fundraising?
Yes, we
Events?
We have done events. We have some of the people in this room have actually done
I've
events
been
for
to
us.
several of them, and we'll invite you next time, Randy.
Yeah, so yeah, we have done some, it's been a minute since we've done one because of the chaos of contracts. Although we're 2 months behind, actually, we're still in the middle of contract season because City of Richmond still hasn't signed that dotted line with us. So
You guys should be having,
it's been
you guys should be having those ahead of time, planning for the lack of contracts.
So was it my understanding that when the supervisor was speaking, he spoke in sort of two veins. One was the workforce development, he said that was right out, the money can't be spent on that, but he seems like he also said that the county health department was saying that they were covering everything else, so that's where I think there seems to be a disconnect, because if the county health department is saying like, oh, we're covering everything else that they're doing, but it's very clear from what you two are saying that they're not covering the showers, they're not covering the trash removal, they're not covering all these things, so it's like, it seems like they are being, I don't wanna say liars, but like.
Duplicitous.
So they are
Less than honest,
They are covering the trash, the way they're trash, but
but not enough.
Yes.
So it's not covering, but it's like, that's the thing, it's like, if you're like, oh, we're covering it, but you know, you're only covering like 10, 15, 20, 50% of it, you're actually not doing the work, you're putting a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage, just saying, well, we maybe did first aid.
Yeah, so since we left our stuff, the storage unit there has already been on the risk of getting a fine from San Pablo. Because they can't keep up with the cleaning.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they clean this pile, before it comes in, another pile's coming. You know, so they're even having issues, and this is all in the 2 months or month and a half or whatever since we've left.
So I think this comes down to the point that Sue made about sort of drilling down to why this was rejected, and I think we've got a little bit of homework, we've got your email describing exactly what you're doing, and I think we can reach out to county health and find out exactly what workforce development and health activities really are. And that'll just sort of help us figure out kind of what you're doing that doesn't overlap with what they're doing and strengthen your case for getting funding from the county.
Just one final comment, desperate people do desperate things. We have had something where people who were in a fairly desperate situation got some help and started to develop some trust. If we take that away, people get angry, they feel more desperate, it's going to increase misery, it's going to increase, frankly, danger to our local residents. It's inhumane, but it's also of danger to everybody.
Stupid.
And stupid. It's a shame because if you help people early on, you get much better bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Than you do.
It's short-sighted. Petition, something that we might think about. I mean, I feel pretty strong community to petition.
I'm wondering if we should get it straight.
Well, I know the county started a petition, I'm not sure what they did with it, I have not been able to contact, I wanted her to come with me tonight, but I haven't been able to make contact with her. But I know they started a petition,
Okay.
So
Yeah, I know.
So I think we had a good discussion around this and we have a path forward. So,
Well, we have at least the beginning of a path forward. We may have to do more things.
We're starting, so that's good.
Yeah.
yeah, so I think what we can do is move to the next item in our,
Can I just point out that so Ayla has been very supportive of you guys in the past and has talked about working with the county on this, so I would just think that that should be brought into the letter, right, or whatever it's been.
so, I think we can move on. I think there's folks here who have been waiting for public comment. And so I think that's what we can start, we can try and limit to 2 minutes per person, but this is items that are not on the agenda, I believe you.
Sure, does anybody else have one?
And you can start.
All right. I'll stand up, I apologize for having more back to you, but my name is Janet Flint, I live in the May Valley neighborhood. And I appreciate getting to come here and join you all tonight, you're dealing with some very important topics, so you'll probably see me again. Yeah, so I'm gonna read from this, because I'm much better if I read, and it is 2 minutes. I learned in late July that East Bay Regional Parks has planned a sophisticated engineered bike trail for Wildcat Canyon. I don't know who here might be familiar with that yet.
Yeah.
To run along the Zoo Trail, and I brought a book here with, they're just black and white pictures, but it shows the proposed trail. It shows a photograph of how that trail comes down the mountaintop. It shows some very highly engineered berms. This is not just a trail where they say, oh, it's gonna go from here to there, and the bikes kind of make the trail. These are highly structured features. So if you would like to have a look at that book, I'll put it out there for you.
Is this way up high on the ridge? No, sorry.
I'm gonna try and keep this to 2 minutes, and there's information there, and you can leave me your email address, and I'll send you tons of information. So this has been described as a world-class trail by the bike enthusiasts that will attract people from all over the region. And it's simultaneously promoted as a way to give kids access to the outdoors and good biking skills. And I can understand why riders are excited about it, it looks like a lot of fun. As a nature enthusiast, I'm concerned that this kind of bike trail will attract lots of new traffic and will have multiple impacts on native species of mammals, insects, plants, and the ability of the land to continue to support those creatures. As a neighbor and trails user, I'm concerned about where the visitors will park. I'm concerned that walkers, hikers, wheelchair users, people with strollers and small children, dog walkers and runners will find their enjoyment of the surrounding trails diminished as the number of bikes on surrounding trails increases. Open space and unmolested natural areas are few and they're shrinking as time progresses. Since Wildcat Canyon is defined as a natural area in the East Bay Regional Parks land use master plan, I'd like to see it protected from this kind of intense use project. There has to be a better location in the park's 126,000 acres where this kind of exciting and challenging trail could be built. I attended a meeting of the North Richmond Heights MAC, where they invited East Bay Regional Parks to give a presentation describing the project, and they allowed their members and visitors in the meeting to ask questions. It was a very stimulating meeting, probably over 50 people attended. And I would like to see if the El Cerrito MAC is interested in holding a similar meeting and invite the district to present to this.
Just one small thing with the Sobrante, if that's okay.
What did I say?
But everybody knows
Oh,
that.
okay, I'm sorry.
That's that, so.
So maybe this is something we can invite speaker from
East Bay Regional Park.
East Bay Regional Parks.
Sounds swell.
At the next meeting, there we go.
We'd love to hear about it.
There's an agenda item.
So that, we can put that in a future agenda item.
Can I ask you a question? Do you have a larger room?
No, this is our.
No,
This is it,
our
okay.
room.
So, thank you so much for bringing that up, and we have another, Laura.
I'm gonna piggyback on that, I'm a Superior here, the resident of East Richmond Heights, Hasford Heights, and I just wanna say that they've been in discussion with East Bay Parks for several years. And people who go into the parks all the time did not know that these meetings were taking place. They've been promised money from an individual, somewhere around $1 million. And the East Bay Parks had a meeting on August 5th, which many of us went to find out why haven't we been told. I don't think the MAC was told, the Board of Supervisors weren't told, and the residents weren't told. And so it really hasn't been above board. I've also learned that this was done by some of the same people in Marin, that they also tried to get this developed trail up without telling people, and they created kids who don't really understand the situation, and they have this whole sort of theatrical presentation where the kids are like, I love cycling and it's really great. And like my colleague said, it is great and it is amazing, and we should all be able to enjoy what the Bay Area offers. But so do the plants and so do the animals. And we don't know what's gonna happen when they start building, what kind of sledge might go all the way down to the creek and kill the salamanders. We don't know when they put up fences, it's a mile and a half. They put up fences and animals get stuck in the fences or they can't migrate. This isn't just our land, this is land that belongs to the other animals that we live around and the plants. And this land use was for hikers, equestrians, and service vehicles. It was not for, no offense, middle-aged men who are getting off, going down the development of the street. And that's who it's going to be. And currently, they completely are disrespectful, not that that should make a difference to the hikers that are going through there and to the dog walkers.
Okay.
And so,
Thank you so much.
thank you so much for both.
Can I ask a question of one of you? Do you know if an environmental impact report was done?
They currently approved of that in the August 5th meeting, but two of the members of East Bay Parks board actually didn't realize that so many people did not know about what was going on and they wanted to just slow it down, but it was pushed through. So we do have time.
But an EIR,
It's being
all,
done now.
okay, well, an EIR, what I'm saying is, an EIR absolutely has to have public comment. So
Yes.
once you get that, then you have your foot in the door.
Right, but they've spent the last 3 years.
Oh, it doesn't matter, you can still kill it with an EIR at the end, they've done it many times. It's a great strategy, so I'm glad to hear that somebody pushed through an EIR process because that will give you the opportunity. And then if that doesn't work, try CEQA. And then it'll never happen. That'll take 10 years. And it's a terrible way to use CEQA, but an EIR, that's good news, but you're right, we need to organize it to have this, and I look forward to a conversation about it.
But thank you so much. Do we have any other public comments?
I do, as a member of the community, September 28th, noon 4, Sunday, that is a Sunday, and Melinda is very happy about it. El Sobrante Pride, we had our first annual one last year at Cheese, AKA the Morning Park in Richmond, because El Sobrante doesn't have a facility to accommodate our event. And last year we got about 500 people, we want more people to come this year. I was gonna say if SOS was not in, well, crisis, for lack of a better word, I was
You
gonna.
said it's in Richmond.
What's that?
You said it's in Richmond.
I know, what I was gonna say is that if y'all had the opportunity, you could, we let you set up a booth and you could do it in like an info booth
I
and.
would be happy to do that.
Okay, all right, can you,
I'll pay your fee.
okay, I was gonna.
Can you let me know the dates?
Yeah.
No, it's Sunday, September 28th, it's noon to 4.
I'll hook you up, O'Neill, I'll text you.
Hey, yeah, Melinda will get in touch with you about that, we'd love to have you because your story needs to be told, and there'll be plenty of people who aren't familiar with your organization. When you tell them their story, they'll be like, oh, hell yeah, we wanna know. So, and it's a family friendly event, we're gonna have a nice petting zoo again this year, we've got food trucks, got
And
drag
it's an
queens.
animal petting
An
zoo.
animal petting zoo, yes, an animal, thank you, yeah, okay. Anyhow, as I was saying, it is family friendly. It's petting zoo, animal petting zoo, we have some drag queens performing.
And a local drag king this year.
Drag king, a wonderful DJ, as I said, food trucks. And lots of vendors, we have vendors that are selling things, we have a lot of nonprofits that are going to be there. And so it's gonna be a wonderful event, and I hope that y'all can drop by again Sunday, September 28th. Noon to 4, Cheese Park in Richmond. If you don't know where that is, you probably do. It's basically near Deanza High School, so across the street from the May Valley Community Center. That's it.
And to tag along on George's, I'm the volunteer coordinator for Pride, and I could use some more volunteers, a couple of people keep dropping out, so just in case you have that day.
And I can tell you last year, some of the core volunteers were SOS related people.
Yes.
They were just there on their own, but we were very grateful, because SOS people show up and do work.
Yeah, so volunteers would be helpful, and Terry does a great job as our volunteer coordinator, and so we would appreciate the help, because we hope we're getting more than the 500 we got last year, so.
I have a question. Why is this the first time I've heard about Sobrante Pride?
Cause it's just the second one we've ever done, you just missed it last year.
How do you promote it?
Well, we've been promoting it in Facebook, we have a Facebook, El Sobrante Pride Facebook page.
Next door.
Nextdoor, we've been promoting it on Nextdoor as well.
And
I
all
don't
of our
know-
community, excuse me for interrupting, George, I'm sorry. All of our community organizations, all of our volunteer nonprofits talk about it every chance we get.
Yeah,
So we're.
And we put out a bunch of flyers and different things.
It's been one of the members of our El Sobrante Pride Committee is Nicole Don, who's the president of our El Sobrante Chamber of Commerce, and she has been promoting it through that avenue as well, so it's.
And Supervisor Joya always puts it in the blast, and Buffy Wicks, who gave lots of money last year and will again this year, puts it in her blast. We've done everything but the San Francisco Chronicle, although we had television last year.
We did.
We had KGO.
We did,
It was on TV last year.
we've been trying to work an advertising partnership with the Chronicle, and we were gonna talk about that at our next Pride Committee meeting. And the other thing, and I'm going to get back in touch with, there's a reporter who kind of covers local issues for East Bay Times, her name is Sierra Lopez. And I told her about a month ago, hey, could you please put something in the paper, because people still get the print edition and people still read it online.
And Richmond side covered it last year.
Yes,
They'll cover it again.
yeah, so.
Anyway, so I
It's
didn't
like
write it
the-
here, but we've been making the effort.
How to plug in, I'll figure it out.
You're plugged now.
Okay, I think we have an additional public comment.
Yeah, you guys are too fast for me. I've been living in El Sobrante since 91, and I live on a dead-end street just off of Dam Road in that stretch between Valley View and Castro Ranch. And there's a straight stretch where people just like
Speed like crazy.
really fast. And where I turn onto Oak Creek to get to my house, if I'm coming from, say, Kennedy Grove, headed towards El Sobrante, there's a turn. So basically what I do is I just start tapping my brakes, tapping my brakes, tapping my brakes, and praying, because in order to turn left, I have to basically stop while all the cars are coming up the other direction, and I'm constantly worried that I'm gonna be rear-ended.
For real.
And it's for real.
I know.
Real. And I have some young adult children who used to have to cross the street to get to the bus stop. And you had to like allow 10 minutes extra to stand at so basically, I don't know, when you go into Orinda, they like have almost always got those traffic speed sensor things. I don't know if we could put some speed sensors in as a way to just tell people how fast they're going.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a way to get the lanes repainted so that there would be a center turn lane like we have in downtown. And I understand that big traffic things can be really, really expensive.
Yes.
But I also lived in country places and big city places, and sometimes there's a way that we can do just like something that isn't the Rolls Royce of traffic solutions.
So we've had that subject come up multiple times.
Maybe every meeting,
It's on the agenda tonight.
yeah, maybe every meeting we talk about that stretch of the Dam Road.
And we did have, I think it was the highway patrol
Yeah.
put one of those box trailers up.
What
And
did they find out when they did that?
Oh, the people speak like mad, they know that.
Well, you know, we noticed this is a problem, I know what you're talking about because I have a friend who used to live in the condos on Creekside Court. And I had the same thing from the opposite direction, I go see my friend, I'm like, am I going to get rear-ended from, while I'm waiting to turn left? We get it. We know, and it's a little frustrating to us that the CHP doesn't make it to our meetings too often because they are short-staffed and they're very busy. And we do know that when they have had patrols there, that the speeds has dropped. Because people see the CHP and they know it's being patrolled, the miscreants who are going like 65, 70 miles per hour, they get busted, they get a ticket, and it doesn't happen as much. But once they left, it started to speed up again. We're well aware of it. It is a money thing, as you said. It's also because it's not, Orinda, as you know, is an incorporated city, so they have, and it's also frankly wealthier
Correct,
than
it's a
us.
high rent district.
So they have more resources than we do, unfortunately. It's not new. And we are as frustrated as you at the.
so your point is well taken, and I think we really need to get CHP in here. And, we need to get them to increase their patrols, that's sort of the one thing that's proven effective for limiting speed on the dam road.
Coming from Orinda, coming this direction at Oak Creek, is there a break in the double yellow line to turn there?
You're allowed to turn over
You
a double
can
yellow line,
It's
it's legal.
legally
That's what we have to do every day when we get home and when we leave.
Cause I know exactly where that's at, and I actually have friends that lives on Oak Creek, and I would go all the way down to where the long stretch is, and I would make a U-turn there where you turn into, go up the hill.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the name of that,
Valley
where they park the cars and stuff, not Valley View, the one before that.
Lois Lane? No.
So,
No, there's a place where they park the big trucks, it's right by your
No.
place there.
No,
Where the big turnout is, I would go down there and turn.
but
And then
they'll
make
still harm you
U-turn
there,
that way.
anytime you turn either direction on.
And there's been some
road,
conversation
they come
about
from
getting a crosswalk
behind
at
and
Bristlecone, which might help
so
slow things down,
I think this,
a new light.
your point is well taken and your feelings are shared by everybody here.
Thank you.
And
Will Monish come back to present that, because I spoke with, or emailed with John Joya. And he said it will, like, I was told that Monish was gonna be here today to discuss the road
so
diet.
I think
He was planning on it, but he had a family emergency, and so.
So maybe
Will he be here next meeting?
So we'll see if we can
yes.
get in here next
Yes,
meeting.
that's the plan.
So what I'd like to do
Then we
is
can
if
talk
there,
about Bristlecone.
yeah, if there are no
Well,
more,
there's cheaper
if there's no more, is there more public
We
comments?
just wanna make some announcement about it, because
Well, I have a question. Were we supposed to have a discussion on pace on the older place? Is that?
That was on the original agenda.
It was, but Uche wasn't able to, and leadership, they weren't able to make this meeting, so we're seeing when.
Not as high, I didn't see it.
I had friends here that came here for that.
That's exactly,
Well, I said-
I was sitting there thinking, oh my gosh.
We're hearing, yeah.
I can see why it happened.
Thank you.
No problems.
So if there's no more public comment, I'd like to suggest that we move to information items. By MAC members, and I just, have one brief item. Not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, Sunday, the 21st, is our wonderful El Sobrante stroll. So our great sort of, I call it like our regional block party. It's not just El Sobrante, it's really El Sobrante, Pinole, San Pablo, Richmond. We're all kind of in the same boat. And at 10 a.m., the road between the dam road between Portal and Appian closed. We'll start off with a wonderful parade.
Led by
Vendors.
Terry Edlinger, Citizen of the Year.
Parade, vendors, incredible food. Bands, it's like,
Bicycles flying through the air.
BMX, that's right, BMX.
yeah, acrobatic bicycles, and we get 25,000 people over the course of the day, so. Be there or be square.
So about that, just related, Max, are we sitting at who's with the supervisor?
We'll have a table, so if you want to share, then we can do that.
Okay, I'll probably be there in the morning then.
All right, I'm co-coordinator of the strolls, so
Ooh, the big cheese.
assistant cheese,
The big assistant.
Scott Tufnell.
I'm gonna interject, I was at the Chamber of Commerce meeting the other day and Jim and whoever's in charge of setting up and tearing down the cones would really like some more volunteers. Starting about 6 in the morning, and if you do the morning part, then the one at night would be from 4 till 5:30 or so to help take them down. So we'll put that out there. I'm on the morning.
I was thinking we could spend some of our budget so we can get Tom and Easy up at least this year.
All right, so subcommittee reports,
Okay,
cleanup
yeah,
and beautification.
next cleanup is the 20th, the day before the stroll, and we'll be concentrating on downtown and a couple other little areas, for our third Saturday cleanup. Meet at the library at 10 o'clock, and clean up the key items. We have equipment and everything we need, and we'd appreciate it, but we're also, by the way, the green team was the organization of the year. So we are one of the dignitaries as well in the stroll, and we're coming in early this time, not near the end of the parade. So we're gonna be in the parade too. And we also have some special plans. Chris has designed an art fish filled with cans and recycled plastic water bottles to illustrate the connection between the litter in the streets and the creeks to what goes on in the coast and how that ends up in the ocean. So we're all connected, and so we're going to be promoting also at the stroll our coastal cleanup day, which is the following Saturday. On the 27th, we've got flyers and hope that we're gonna get a good community turnout to help us clean the streets and the creeks that day, even more than our third Saturday. So we're really hoping that you guys will come out and help us do that. We're in conjunction with spawners and SOS Richmond. So
And also very family friendly.
it's also family friendly. We're gonna have some refreshments and appreciation for our volunteers who come and help us keep a handle on the litter in this town. And then we're hoping to come the next day to Pride. I didn't officially sign up in any way, but I'm hoping that
We'll let you sing the song again.
will you let us set up a little table there?
Oh, yes,
And bring our giant fish for people
bring
to
the
see?
bloody fish.
Okay.
Oh, Sue. Oh.
See what you did there?
Everybody's carping it.
Next one's one of home.
Got some flyers, hopefully you can help us promote this to your friends and neighbors, because this is a community thing, and for community building, we really want to encourage people to join us. You meet the nicest people in zip 9483.
So thank you, Nikki.
Meet the nicest people
Is it 94803?
All right, so in terms of, there's one more item,
I
which
have
is,
one more announcement.
okay,
We've got the power. PG&E finally showed up on September 4th. They didn't tell us they were coming. They just suddenly showed up and we went, okay. And so it took though, it was wild. I was in the building and my phone rang and it was their governmental relations person that Gail Moore had hooked me up with. And she said, I've arranged that they're gonna come turn on the power today. And I said, they just arrived, they're here. So we didn't get any warning, but the power is on. So now the race is on to get the Good Table open. I wish I could give you an exact date, but we're now waiting on gas. But gas is less of a problem with PG&E. It's really interesting. They can get the gas on faster than they can get power on for whatever bizarre reason. So anyway, it's coming close. And I just wanted to let you all know that I think, in October, we will be open.
Awesome. So, thank you.
Think good thoughts.
That's a happy announcement.
That's a very happy announcement.
Yeah, so I think in terms of upcoming agenda items, we want Monish back. We'd like to have the East Bay Park District, and we'd love to hear from Uche.
I have one more announcement to make. If you are feeling anxious about what's going on in the country, join us with Indivisible West Cocoa County. We are going to be, of course, having a table at the El Sobrante Stroll, and we're going to be one of the inaugural people. You can pronounce that right. At the Good Table on the 5th of October, we're going to be having a panel about Proposition 50. Which is the redistricting.
Election Rigging Response Act.
Yes, so that is something that people have lots of mixed feelings about. We've got a panel and it's going to be really interesting and fun. If you're interested in this, look up Indivisible West Cocoa County, and Chris and I are the co-chairs and we will respond to you right away.
And they'll be at the stroll too, you can chat with them in the stroll.
And every Friday.
So-
And maybe they'll have
Signs around at the corner.
Maybe they'll come.
You wanna come to Pride?
We'd love to have you.
Maybe.
I
Right.
hadn't thought about that. I can't answer.
So-
that.
Yeah.
I'd like to move that we adjourn.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Let's determine.
I don't